If you're feeling kind of meh while Singapore navigates a post-CB period in the form of Phase 1, or CB Light, you are not alone. Here's why.
It may take longer depending on how the situation evolves.
Requiring commuters not to speak to one another,
Telecommuting will remain the default.
because with more activities, the likelihood of transmission rises, and we have to be prepared that there will be more cases.
We're done with CB, now in Phase 1 or safe reopening, and it's also June. It seems like we are always getting new updates. And for those who are staying home and working from home, you may be feeling overwhelmed. Or perhaps, you don't really feel anything at all. You may be thinking, what difference does it make anyway? It's been about 2 months since we've been living this way. We've heard many things from our leaders on how we should move. And at this point, it feels like a mixed bag of emotions. Well, you're not alone. Here are some possible reasons you might be feeling this way. Reason 1. A perceived inability on the government's part to call a spade a spade. How come Singapore must be special and call circuit breaker?
Why is this CB? So many CB here.
Rather than use the phrase lockdown, which means different things to different people, let's focus on the specific measures.
As the COVID-19 situation in Singapore progressed, stricter measures and restrictions were steadily put in place. And we ultimately ended up with
circuit breaker.
While Minister Lawrence Wong was quick to clarify the difference between the CB and a lockdown,
A major circuit breaker that doesn't entail a lockdown, but entails school closures, entails workplace closures. It means a major suspension of activities.
okay, but honestly, for most of us, life was kind of in lockdown. We couldn't meet up with friends or leave home unless it's for essential purposes or exercise. Industries like travel, tourism, and retail were deemed non-essential and put on hold. And it's also not like they can work from home. We then got hit with this.
We will therefore extend the circuit breaker for 4 more weeks beyond the 4th of May. In other words, until the 1st of June.
Okay, can still understand. At that point, Singapore still had cases outside of the migrant worker dormitories. So June 1st, the real end of the CB, was eagerly anticipated by many with hopes of greater ease restrictions. It was like a silver lining, a chance to revert to normalcy. But instead, we got Phase 1 of the 3-phase approach, a gentle easing of restrictions, which doesn't seem much different than it was during CB. Reason 2. The lack of clearly defined time frames for the 3-phase approach. When exactly will things go back to normal? To be fair, this one quite hard to answer lah. I think whoever is up there also don't know.
I need to manage your expectation.
While around 1/3 of the workforce has returned to work on site, those of us who can work from home must do so.
So from the 2nd of June, we will continue the maximum work from home arrangements.
Which means for many of us, including the work from home people, not much has changed, except there's no date for us to look forward to now.
Minimally, I think we are not likely to make major shifts within the first 4 weeks because we do need 2 incubation period to assess.
If the community transmission, if infection rates over these 2 weeks remain low and stable, then we will decide by the middle of June on whether we want to take the next step. And that means that Phase 2 could happen before the end of June.
And despite getting updates on Phase 2 before CB ended, it didn't feel like a win for us. Perhaps because there's always a creeping suspicion that tomorrow, the timeline will change again. Or maybe, it's a way for us to cope, so we don't feel disappointed again. Even when we try to be logical about it, okay, you see, the situation is always changing and unpredictable. How to give specific deadline? This is all for the safety of you and the community.
This is for your own good.
Aiya, that still doesn't make this any easier to accept. I mean, we still can't meet our friends, my business cannot resume, I can't meet my boyfriend. Reason 3. A perception of shifting goalposts. Why today say this, then tomorrow say another thing? Now, most people would agree that Phase 1 doesn't seem any different from circuit breaker for them. Which means, the end line, a chance at normalcy, has shifted further away from us.
Phase 2, as I mentioned earlier, is a transition phase. We may relax some measures earlier and some measures may have to continue for a longer time. So the period is less certain, but it will involve months. It will not be just weeks.
Kinda like how your parents say they'll buy you your favourite chicken rice if you finish all your homework. But while you're doing the homework, the pile of worksheets just keep growing and it seems like you're nowhere near finished. So instead of chicken rice, you're given a snack, since the homework is not completed yet. I mean, it's still food, right? But just not what you expected. And as we waited patiently for the CB to finish, the changes in the goals we were working towards makes it feel like there was no end in sight. Sure, the rules are there for legit reasons. To keep local transmission as low as possible, slow down transmissions and prevent overload on the healthcare system, remember the hidden reservoir of cases in our community. And the fact is that the situation is rapidly changing every day. So information which was given a month back may have to be updated now. Like what happened with having to wear masks.
Doctors do not advise us all to wear masks walking around. It is not helpful, and in fact, it can be counterproductive.
So we will now take a further step and make it mandatory for everyone to wear masks when they go out.
But that doesn't take away how confusing it can be for regular folks like us keeping up with day-to-day news. And how it may seem like sometimes we are moving backwards, even if we can't say we weren't preempted for it.
It's going to be a gradual process beyond the circuit breaker period.
At the end of the day though, there's no right or wrong way to how you're reacting to the news. As Singapore gradually reopens, we might just have to accept this unpredictable situation with constant updates as the new normal. COVID-19 isn't going anywhere anytime soon, and cases and clusters might just increase again if we are not careful. So as of now, perhaps the best thing to do is to tahan through and take things one day at a time.
All this is for our